empaths, and contrary tactics. So we're talking about today different popular terms at the moment that are used to manipulate individuals. Some of them can also those type of buzzwords that are used when people want to describe the experiences that they have had with people. So, as you know, one of my favorites at the moment is gaslighting, in particular because I say that racism's integral gaslight is the fact that they love to put divisive thought and distractions in terms of people, places, and things, especially with the race and color and tension in the air, and then act as though they didn't do it. They don't know why it's racist. They don't know, like, they pretend as though they don't understand why we should be having the reactions or the responses that we do, and act as though it's never happened, it's not that serious. And so also we remember that gaslighting comes from this movie. I can't remember again the title of it, back in the day, where the husband essentially did all of these things within the home to confuse the wife and to have her to think that, did she turn this on, did she not turn this on, this is smoking, that's smoking, different things are happening, and then the husband denying that any of those things were happening. So she was now questioning her sanity, and this is a form of mental manipulation. And so gaslighting's exact definition would be false information presented with the intention of making another person doubt their own memory, perception, and sanity. Okay? And so the next one would be minimizing, which is a covert control tactic used to cause self-doubt by downplaying the event. It's deceptively designed to manipulate another person into feeling irrational. Example, you're overreacting, it's not that bad. And so, to expound upon that example, you could be in a situation where you basically are having certain anxieties or panic attacks and you are not prepared to make a certain move based upon that. And you could be amongst people who feel that you are not going along to get along, and so that you should push yourself beyond your limitation and you should do it anyway. And they let you know that it's not so bad, you're overreacting, just do it, just do it. That's a form of minimizing your feelings and your needs, your expression. You've expressed that you cannot do something, you're not able to do something. However, you are being pushed to do it, and you're being minimized in the process because it's that, oh, well, it's not so bad, just do it. Everyone else is doing it, so you should do it. The silent treatment, which is a form of punishment to control designed to cause harm by making the person feel powerless, invisible, insignificant, vacant, and even non-existent. So what could happen with the silent treatment? I can express this in two fashions. As a child, being in a household where you could sometimes children are distracted by their toys, whatever it is that's these toys, these things that distract children. And so this child could be so absorbed into their gadget that they have not heard the adult address them with whatever the adult has said, be it hello, can you help me with this, or whatever the adult has said. Now, the adult who wants to control the child and manipulate the child will then begin a silent treatment by then ignoring the child when the child comes to the adult and says anything to them or asks them any question. Because if we're taking back to the context, the child was distracted by the gadget. So in all intents and purposes, the child actually did not hear the adult when the adult was addressing them. So now the child has, removed itself from its gadget and has come to see the adult about something else, just saying hello or asking for something, wanting to be excused, needing something, whatever. The child is in need of something that the adult has control over. So the adult, in their control, in their superiority of being bigger, the adult then decides they're going to now also ignore the child without the context that the child was not doing that on purpose. The child simply didn't hear you. So the adult now is ignoring, giving the child the silent treatment. And this is abusive in the sense that the child is a child. The child is in an ever learning, and as we are always in an ever learning, teachable moment type of experience. That means that it's your opportunity to address a situation, to really discover whether or not the child was ignoring you in the first place. And the reality is, why would the child be ignoring you in the first place? Had the child actually observed you ignoring them so much that now they've reenacted that behavior back on you? Or is it that genuinely the child has not heard you? And then you can look at it as an adult experience. You can be in a relationship with your siblings, with your partner, people at work, in your network, and they could do the same thing. They could give you the silent treatment whether you've done anything to them or you haven't done anything to them, and it's for the same reason. If they don't like you, whether they have a good reason to or they don't have a good reason to, they could decide that they're just going to stop speaking to you, and could leave you feeling all kinds of vacant, all kinds of like, are you invisible? Because you need to be productive, right? You're in a family, you're in a collective. It takes a group collective effort to do what needs to be done. So it's not productive for another person to now shut down and not communicate, and you're talking to them, you're asking them questions, they're not saying anything, they're pretending that they haven't heard you. You've gone up to them, you're trying to get their attention, and they're pretending like they haven't heard you or they're not hearing you. That's another example. So then you have the guilt trip. The person may be reminded of something bad that they did, made to feel guilty about it, and then given an option to escape that guilt. The option will depend on what the manipulator wants them to do. So people often feel obliged to comply with guilt trip demands as a way of receiving others' approval. So guilt trips could be subtle, covert, and overt, in the level that a guilt trip could be something as simple as, if you loved me, then you would do this for me. And if you loved me, you would know about that. So that's guilting you into feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't actually love you then, because you're right. Then I would already know this and I would do these things. That's kind of like a subtle, underhanded way of guilt tripping a person. Something that's more covert and more huge of a guilt trip could be something like, if a person has had an explosive moment, they did something, they said something that was not very kind at the moment. They have come back, they've apologized, and they've explained their. And then after they've explained the position to you, you have told them that you understand and that you agree. But then in the same moment that you're saying that you understand and you agree, you take what they've said to you, they've shared to you in secret, or the moment that you have forgiven them for, and you bring it up in the conversation and you hold it over their head and you say to them, well, if you didn't do such so and so, then you wouldn't be such a bad person, or you are a bad person because you did so and so. Remember that that's what you did. Or they would tell you something like, if you were to take this form of a therapy or this form of resolve, this type of solution, then you would be in a better position. You would be able to have a better experience in life. And because you're not doing this particular way of therapy, this type of healing modality and solution, then that's why you are, experiencing this kind of symptomatic behavior. That could be a type of guilt trip. Emotional baiting is another tactic, and it's used to provoke an angry or emotional response. It's designed to incite rage, which is proof that another person is the one who's crazy and unstable, not them. So here's another really great example of this, right? Imagine the term that psychologist Ralph Smart has used, which is the emotional drive-by. Think about the emotional baiting as like even a verbal drive-by, where you could be minding your business and someone just walks up on you and says, why did you say that to John Brown? You're such a bitch, how you talk to people. And John Brown said that you did all these things and you said all these things. Now, that's an emotional baiting because, and then a verbal drive-by and an emotional drive-by because you're sitting there, you're minding your business. There's a sense of peace and calm. There's things that's going on. There's a tone that's being said. There's an energy, frequency that's happening. And a person just comes into the room yelling, screaming, heightening this energy, changing and disrupting the flow of energy with this affirmation that you are this, that you did this and you said this. And so then it would be up to you to decide, are you going to react or respond to that? You're going to leave the room, you're going to address it or not address it. And in these situations, this could be an example of, causing someone to get angry and to make them feel crazy and unstable because, the room is at a stable level. Things are at vibrating a certain frequency. And here you've come in with that energy to disrupt and make them feel like, what, did I say that? Did that actually happen? It's like, or you're again minding your business in a certain frequency, certain tone, vibration that's happening, and a person comes in with a kind of energy emotionally baiting you by, telling you how sad or how bad they feel about a situation, like they're dumping all of their energy and they're saying, I'm such a bad person, and these people are such bad people, and all kinds of like energy that just makes you feel like, why are you telling me all of this in this energy? Now all the energy is drained out of the room. So one of the last ones is tone policing or verbiage policing. So tone policing is it attempts to detract from the validity of a statement by attacking the tone in which it was presented rather than the message itself, okay? And then verbiage policing is when it attempts to dismantle the context of your actions by isolating one word out of your entire dialogue and using it to deflate your character. Now, this is also one of my favorite ones because I experience this one often. And this one you experience with people who have the air of superiority, they have an air of condescension, they have an air of white privilege or white fragility. I say all of this to say because you know how in the context of being a Black person, we have our ways of speaking. We have either Ebonics or we have our patois. We have our forms of speaking in our own way and even sometimes in our own tones, right? And so oftentimes our passion is being misconstrued as being aggressive, as being angry, and that we're attempting to control the rooms with our anger, and that we are now triggering people by this. And so this goes back to the context of what kind of home, what kind of upbringing were you raised in? Because if you were raised in a volatile home, a contentious household, cantankerous energy, just constant screaming and yelling and all that stuff, any tone that's higher above than what I'm speaking, and maybe even how I'm speaking now would be loud and offensive to people. This is what I'm saying, is that everyone vibrates and aligns to different frequencies and different energies. So it's like, this is what I mean about how we have to be aware about the different ways in which we are addressing these kinds of policing, the way people show up in the world. And so then you have the verbiage policing where literally I can use an example from my life. There was a time where I was experiencing something and I said I wanted to acknowledge appreciation for a person, and I also want to express, yes, I appreciate you, I appreciate this, and as well, and at the same time that I appreciate all of this and you, I didn't say and, I said but, in I didn't say and, I said but, in this context, in this experience right now, I am not feeling that way because of how this, that, and the third is going on in the context of that. And so later on, when we were having a reasoning about this event, this misunderstanding, the person reflected back to me that, everything that I said up until the point where I used the word but meant that forget everything that I said prior to the word but, because it negates it now, and the only thing that matters is everything that I say after the word but. Now, I'm a kind of person that when people tend to verbiage police me in that kind of way by telling me that I've just attempted to express to you, especially in my broken place. I'm in a fragile place, so my emotions are fragile and or I don't remember the word there, but my emotions are what they are because, especially in the context of this example, I had spent the time to explain that that was going to happen anyway, and that was not heard because in that context, I was being seen as symptomatic and bipolar and disordered. So anything I said just meant that I just need to take my medication anyway. But what I was, and see, there's another but. And in that, what I was saying and what I am saying is that I appreciate, and at the same time, in my appreciation, I've had enough. And I already explained that this was going to happen. Now it's happening, and I can't sit here anymore. I can't sit here and be fake. And what I'm here to address for us empaths, you no longer have to feel ashamed about that because, as I keep reiterating, we have psychiatrists, Judith Orloff, and we have psychologist Ralph Smart of the Infinite Waters channel on YouTube, who have, in their own ways and terms, in their books and in their expressions that we've seen, validated that we have the right to get up anytime we want to get up. We have the right to tell it like it is, because there's those times where you have expressed yourself so much. It doesn't matter how sweet, how loving, how kind, how much times you have apologized, and how much accountability, how much transparency you've shown. People who choose to see you through the lens that they want to will continuously just see you through that lens because that's the only lens that they have. And when they choose, and if they choose to clean the glasses, clean the lens in which they're looking through, then they will have the clarity that they need to be able to see you through your nature and see you as you actually show up in the world. As an empath who has the right to be in your nature, who has the right to have certain moments and to express those moments and not have it be that you're disrespectful or have any of those types of manipulations come back on you. So when you know thyself, that's how you heal thyself. And when you are empowered by the knowledge of self, there is no way that these tactics can come in and dismantle you, because you check yourself in the moment. When any of these things are being brought to you, you don't have to react, you don't have to respond. You just simply check yourself and know this does not apply to me, and so you keep on moving. And those that are like-minded to you are going to continuously reflect back to you the truth of who you are. So if there's anything that I said here that resounds for you, you know to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And you know to hit the notification bell so that you know when and what is happening. And powerful beings, remember, embrace your roots, embrace your nature. Your roots have the power to heal you.